Enjoy learning!
Good day, everyone. I'm here again, Ma'am Mel, your Mathematics 8 teacher, and welcome to our Week 7 lesson, which is all about the biconditional, inverse, converse, and contrapositive statements. Our learning competency, at the end of the lesson, you are expected to illustrate the equivalences of the statement and its contrapositive, and the converse and inverse of a statement. Let us define first what is biconditional statement. So biconditional statement is a combination of a conditional statement and its converse written in the if and only if form. So meaning to say, we can create or form a biconditional statement if both conditional and converse statements are true. If it is true, you can connect the phrases by the if and only if words. So here our example. Two-line segments are congruent if and only if they are of equal length. So let us assess how this biconditional statement was created. So it is a combination of two conditional statements. So our first statement is, if two line segments are congruent, then they are of equal length. So as you can see, we use the words if and then. So in this case, we have the hypothesis, if two line segments are congruent, and our conclusion, they are of equal length. Now, let us have the converse statement. So by the way, how are you going to create a converse statement? Okay, very good. So you can create a converse statement by interchanging the hypothesis and the conclusion. So it can be written as, if two line segments are of equal length, so yung ating conclusion, naging hypothesis, then they are congruent. Ang ating hypothesis, naging conclusion. So, let us find out if our conditional and converse statements are true. So, if two line segments are congruent, then they are of equal length. That is true. And if two line segments are of equal length, therefore, they are congruent. That is also true. So, meaning to say, a biconditional is true if and only if both the conditionals are true. So, the conditionals is our conditional statement, the first conditional statement, and the second one is our converse statement. Let us have the conditional statement. So this lesson will help you to refresh a specific lesson in English, which is all about conditional sentences. But in math, it is called conditional statement. So what is conditional statement? A conditional statement symbolized by P implies Q. So this arrow is our logical connector. This will be read as implies. So a conditional statement is an if-then statement in which P is our if part, or what we call the hypothesis, which is also known as the cause. And Q is our then part, which is our conclusion, and which is also known as our effect. So, from the conditional statement, you will be able to make a converse statement. The same way, an inverse and contrapositive statement can be derived from the conditional statement. So, one by one, we will define those statements. So, the first one is our converse statement. So, how are you going to create or form a converse statement? So, to form the converse of the conditional statement, interchange the hypothesis and the conclusion, or simply switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. How about the inverse statement? So, inverse statement, it can be formed by negating the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional statement. So, when we say negating, we need to add words such as does not, did not, or anything na makakapag-negate ng ating hypothesis and conclusion. And the last one is what we call the contrapositive statement. So, will be formed by negating our converse statement. Here is the example of biconditional statement, interconditional statement, and its converse. So we have two angles are supplementary if and only if the sum of their measure is 180 degrees. So in order to create a conditional statement, we need to remove the words if and only if. And instead, we need to add the words if and then. Okay, so our conditional statement will become, if two angles are supplementary, then the sum of their measure is 180 degrees. How about our converse statement? So converse statement, you need to switch our hypothesis and our conclusion. So by the way, which is our hypothesis? So our hypothesis will be, if two angles are supplementary. How about our conclusion? The sum of their measure is 180 degrees. So now, our converse is, if the sum of the measures of two angles is 180 degrees, then they are supplementary. So that will be our conditional statement, converse statement from our biconditional statement. Okay, this time, we have different examples of statements which can be written into conditional statement, inverse, converse, and contrapositive. So for example, number 1, Filipinos are God-fearing people. So it is important that we as Filipinos are God-fearing people. We should be morally upright and live according to the words of God. So going back, let us create our conditional, inverse, converse, and contrapositive. Okay, so the first one is the conditional. Conditional is what we call the if-then statement. So we need to add the words if and then. So our conditional will become, if you are Filipino, then you are God-fearing people. So in this case, we can identify our hypothesis and our conclusion. Okay, the next one is our inverse. So to form the inverse, negate the hypothesis and the conclusion of our conditional. So meaning to say, we can add words such as do not, did not, does not, or not. Or any words that will negate our hypothesis and conclusion. So our inverse will become, if you are not Filipino, so as you can see, dinagdagan lang natin siya ng word na not, then you are not God-fearing people. So again, we just add the word not. So that will be our inverse. The next one is our converse. So converse is just to interchange the hypothesis and conclusion of our conditional. So pagbabaligtarin lang natin. Yung hypothesis ng conditional magiging conclusion at yung conclusion ng conditional magiging hypothesis. So our converse becomes, if you are God-fearing people. So yung God-fearing people napunta dito sa ating hypothesis, then you are Filipino. Yung Filipino ng ating conditional, which is our hypothesis, naging conclusion naman ng converse. And the last one is our contrapositive. So contrapositive, we need to negate the hypothesis and conclusion of our converse. So if you are not, nag-add lang tayo ng not, God-fearing people, then you are not Filipino. So that will be our conditional, inverse, converse, and contrapositive. Okay, example number 2. A triangle is a polygon of 3 sides. So I believe that since elementary, you already know that a triangle is a polygon of 3 sides. Okay, so let us have the conditional, inverse, converse, and contrapositive. Okay, the first one is the conditional. So again, we need to add the words if and then. So if the polygon is a triangle, then it has 3 sides. Okay, so our hypothesis, Okay, correct? If the polygon is a triangle, and what is our conclusion? So, it has 3 sides. Okay, now, let us proceed to our inverse. So, our inverse is the negation of our hypothesis and conclusion. So, it should be written as, if the polygon is not a triangle, then it does not have 3 sides. So, as you can see, gumamit tayo ng mga words na not and does not. Okay, the third one is the converse. So, switch the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional. So, it can be written as, if the polygon has 3 sides, then it is a triangle. And the last one is the contrapositive. We need to negate the hypothesis and the conclusion of the converse. So, it should be written as, if the polygon does not have 3 sides, then it is not a triangle. So, that will be our conditional statement and its inverse, converse, and contrapositive for example number 2. For example number 3, good citizen obeys rules and regulations. So, always remember that you as a student should be a law-abiding citizen. Okay, so let us start with our conditional. So, if Paulo is a good citizen, so we can add a subject on our statement. So, ang mahalaga, complete yung thought ng statement at hindi magkakamali doon sa ating pinanggalingan na statement. Okay. If Paulo is a good citizen, then he obeys rules and regulations. Okay, so that is our conditional statement. Our hypothesis is Paulo is a good citizen. Our conclusion is he obeys rules and regulations. So next is our inverse. So let us negate our conditional. If Paulo is not a good citizen, then he does not obey rules and regulations. So for our converse, we need to switch the hypothesis and conclusion of our conditional. So if Paulo obeys rules and regulations, then he is a good citizen. And for the last one, our contrapositive, we need to negate our converse. So if Paulo does not obey rules and regulations, then he is not a good citizen. Okay, for example number 4, formation of nimbus clouds will create a rain. Okay, by the way, this is one of the natural phenomenon that happens on Earth. Okay, so let us move on to our conditional, inverse, converse, and contrapositive. So for our conditional, so we need to add the words if and then. If there is a formation of nimbus clouds, then it will rain. So our hypothesis is there is a formation of nimbus clouds. Our conclusion, it will rain. Okay, the next one is the inverse. So we need to negate our conditional. So again, we need to add words that will negate our hypothesis and our conclusion. So it should be written as, if there is no formation of nimbus clouds, then it will not rain. And then the third one, we have the converse. So we need to interchange the hypothesis and conclusion of our conditional. So it can be written as, if it rains, then there is a formation of nimbus clouds. And for the last one, we have the contrapositive. So we need to negate our converse. If it does not rain, then there is no formation of nimbus clouds. So that will be our conditional, inverse, converse, contrapositive of example number 4. Okay, for the last one, we have example number 5. Following health protocols will prevent COVID-19. So this time of pandemic, it is important that we observe proper health protocols issued by our government to prevent COVID-19. Okay? So going back to our example number 5, let us create the conditional, the inverse, the converse, and the contrapositive. Okay, for the conditional statement, we need to add the if and then words. So it should be written as, if you follow the health protocols, then you prevent COVID-19. So our hypothesis here is you follow the health protocols, and our conclusion is you prevent COVID-19. And then for the second one, we have the inverse. So inverse is the negation of our conditional. So we need to add words that will negate our hypothesis and conclusion. So it can be written as, if you did not follow the health protocols, then you did not prevent COVID-19. Okay, so that will be our inverse. The next one is our converse. So converse is just to switch the hypothesis and conclusion of our conditional. So the converse will be, if you prevent COVID-19, then you follow the health protocols. And then the last one, we have the contrapositive. So you need to negate the converse. So it can be written as, if you did not prevent COVID-19, then you did not follow the health protocols. So that will be our example number 5, conditional, inverse, converse, and contrapositive. So I hope you learned a lot from our lesson for today. Thank you so much. See you next time.